chapter 18, which is getting us into the circulatory system. So at this point in time, we have worked our way. We think back from part 1. We have worked our way through quite a few systems now. We have looked at our tissues, our integumentary system. We've looked at our skeletal system, muscular system, nervous system, endocrine system. We're now going to move into our circulatory. A lot of people tend to go cardiovascular. Yes and no, okay? It does tend to bring to mind heart and vessels, okay? And yes, you will see it referred to that way. But now, for this portion of it, where we're going to be looking at the bloodstream, circulatory, all right? So this part of it, our blood. Okay, let's think about it for a second. The systems that we've talked about, they need the blood supply because the blood supply brings them the nutrients they need. The endocrine system that we just finished needs the bloodstream because that's how those chemical messengers are going to make it to their target cells. Something else that we're seeing in this picture right here, a system we haven't talked about yet. Can you think or determine another system that's going to be involving the circulatory system? Our immune system. Because we are seeing, of course, the red blood cell, which is really unique, white blood cells that they're trying to represent, platelets, and then, hold up, filaments. Our bloodstream, as we begin to look at it, we're going to find that one of the things it can be is a colloid. Do you remember what a colloid was or is? How?
A suspension of some sort.
Okay, this would be something in a fluid environment, but the pieces get to keep their properties. Okay, so our bloodstream, well, let me ask a question. How many of you think about your bloodstream? You will now. And it's really cool because after we finish the chapter, and any time you get a cut or something on you, you're going to look at it and go, oh, I know what's happening. This is happening, that's happening, this is happening, that's happening, this is happening. It's really cool, okay? And as you can see, I don't know if you can see, but I'm pretty chewed up. We got a puppy back in January, and she's now 3 months old, and she thinks we're chew toys. And so I've got lots of things where I'm the chew toy, okay, no matter what I do. But it's so cool because anytime something happens, I immediately go, oh, well, I know what's taking place. So our circulatory system, like I was saying, some people may say cardiovascular because, look, heart, that's cardio, okay? Blood vessels, well, that's the part that people think of as vessels, so meaning vascular okay? But we can't forget the blood, okay? The circulatory portion of it. So, the study of blood is hematology. Huge field. I'm talking huge, okay? The study of it is amazing. But the purpose of the circulatory, the blood, I need it for transport. I have to transport nutrients, waste, hormones, immune cell. I have a ton of materials that have to be transported throughout my body. I need it for protection because it's going to have antibodies, white blood cells, platelets, thrombin, we're going to find a ton of materials that help the body. We need it for regulation. Well, buffers. pH, does that ring a bell? All right. Our blood, actually fluids of our body as a whole, affect pH as a whole. And in the blood, we're going to have the ability to buffer that pH because the pH of my blood should remain stable. Anybody know what the pH of blood should be?
7.45.
7.45. I know, right? Would this be a problem? Why?
Because on the pH scale, like 1 is equal to 1.
The pH scale is logarithmic, meaning as we move on the pH scale, which for the most part, we have been taught that the pH scale is 0 to 14, 7 being neutral, anything below it, acidic, anything above it, basic. Both are an issue. But to move, like if 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, to simply go from 7 to 6. Now remember, acids are H pluses, basic or alkaline are hydroxide ions. To go one number, you've increased it by a factor of 10 because it's logarithmic. So if I were to go from 0 to 1, you multiply by 10, so let's say 10. To go from 1 to 2, 10 times 10, 100. 100 to go from 2 to 3, 100 times 10 would be, do you see where I'm going with that? In these ions. So if you had 0 at 0, by the time you get to 1, you've got 10 H pluses. To go from 1 to 2, you got 100. H pluses are an issue because they make something more acidic. But the same thing happens going basic because it's a factor of 10. And a base can burn just as badly as an acid. So pH has to be buffered. Why? Alex?
Maintain homeostasis.
I got to maintain homeostasis. But guess what? The first organ of the body is going to be served. Where does it want to work? Where does the body want to maintain? What organ does it want to maintain first? The brain. One thing we cannot have is the pH wrong in the brain. Organs second, everything else last. So that becomes a major, what's the issue? A major function of the circulatory system. One of the other important functions is to help dissipate heat so that we can have, like for example, outside was cool, and so we're bundled up. We're in our jackets and we're all bundled up. We come inside, we get hot, we take the jacket off, but also the heat that built up, the body sends by way of blood to the capillaries that'll open up, they'll dilate, and the heat will move out of the body. Sweat. Because it needs to make sure that the brain and the organs maintain the roughly 98.6. Fluid distribution of the body. The blood is going to do a ton of things. Blood, now look at this. Do you guys remember from part 1 the different types of tissues in the body? Blood is a connective tissue. It's just liquid. It's going to have a matrix. Does everybody remember that? Like think back to like adipose tissue, collagenous tissue. Everything had a matrix. And the matrix was either solid, semi-solid, and now fluid. So this has a matrix, and it's going to contain whole and partial cells as well as molecules. So it's going to have the ability for materials to keep their structure. We're going to have in our body at any given time about 4 to 6 liters. Males tend to have more than females. Blood, the matrix, is known as plasma. It's a clear to a lightish yellow fluid, and it can be separated from the blood. Formed elements are going to be those cells, for example, the red blood cells, white blood cells, and cell fragments, i.e. a platelet, because a platelet is not a complete cell. It's a fragment. And those can be suspended in the plasma, in the matrix. And like I said, it can all be separated. Therefore, how much we know, okay, comes from this. This study of hematology. When we look at the formed elements, the cells and their fragments, we have our red blood cells. When at maturity, okay, because a red blood cell has to mature. At the time of being a true red blood cell, they are